What's up, guys, and welcome to another Insight Sups podcast. So today we are going to be joined by Justin from Supplement Snoop. So for any of you guys that don't know who Justin is, what he does, I think there will be quite a few that do know. But would you like to kind of introduce yourself, Justin, and tell us what you do?
Sure, man. Man, what do I do? What do I do, man? I swear to God, like every time I talk about this, I think about like sort of where we started and where we are now, and it's like it hasn't been that long, but it's such a crazy. This is a wild industry. It's a wild ride. So basically, what I do is it all started when I was sort of looking at supplements in a more adult way. I would say, like starting to really pay attention to what I was buying and things like that, rather than just listening to all the marketing. And I'm like, I remember looking at a protein tub the one day and I was like, man, like what is this stuff like in
Yeah,
this protein, like all these other ingredients and stuff. So I was like, well, there's got to be an app, right? That you go on there and it's going to tell me everything I need to know about
yeah,
supplements. So I'm looking, I was like, wow, there's nothing. I'm like, man, somebody's got to make something like this. So that's how it started, man. And I started doing, the idea came to me that I wanted people to be able to like walk into like a supplement store or something like that and like scan a product, and it just tells you everything you need to know about the ingredients. Because once I started doing the research, I was like, wow, this stuff is hard to find.
yeah, yeah,
Every time I would like search for an ingredient, it would be like this article from a supplement company telling me how great it is, and I'm like, well, that doesn't tell me, that doesn't help me.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So anyway, that's how starting the app, sort of got rolling. I just started doing research on all these ingredients and stuff, and then it sort of materialized into something that I never would have imagined. If you would have told me I would be like a social media influencer, I would have been like, "You're so full of shit!" Like, there's no way, because I wasn't even on social media. I didn't have Facebook, I didn't have Instagram, because I was like, man,
Right.
I saw how like my friends would use it. I was like, you guys are weird. But when you start to use it like in ways, and you start to connect with people and you meet people and
Yeah,
see what they're doing out there, you're like, wow, there's a lot of people that were looking at supplements more. Because what I see in the industry, not to go on a tangent already, but there's a lot of people that are like really ingrained in this industry that take a lot of things for granted.
yeah,
I come from totally outside supplement industry. I had a career, different career, white picket fence house. We got our 401ks all set up. We're going down this path, my wife and
right.
I, right? And then I get into this industry. I was looking for things that really could help me, be a better husband, a better, employee at work,
Yeah,
things that, and then go to the gym too at the same time. And those people that think like that are a little bit different, I think, than the people that are, entrenched in this industry where
yeah,
we're arguing about citrulline dosages and stuff like that. When it's like, that's cool, but it doesn't really help. There's so many millions and millions of people out there that are so new to the whole process.
yeah.
So that's what we try to do, is we try to sort of get them started off on the right foot. I think education, giving people the tools to help themselves, is the best gift you can give. So that's kind of how it started. It's
Yeah.
been a crazy. I don't know, man. I don't even know how to explain it at this point, because it's just like this wild, surreal ride.
So how long has it been for you since you first ever put the app, published it?
Well, we're on the second version of it now, which the second version launched last year at this time.
Okay.
Um, that was when things really went up a notch, because the original version of it I built out was pretty simple. It would just give you the information that you needed to know about all the ingredients, and it was cool. But that was a few years ago. Like, but and this is the stuff you don't sort of realize what you're getting yourself into. I'm like, okay, well, I'll I'll start building out this database of ingredients, and there's like thousands of them that we've done by now that are in this app. I did it all by hand. I did it all
Okay.
by
Now.
like sitting there, like after work, and after I was going to school at the same time for business, and I would do it, man, like all night long, just
Wow.
researching. Because what I did was, I'm like, okay, I'll put this first product in the app,
Yeah.
and I went to like bodybuilding.com, and you look at the first product, an hour later, I finally have it in there, and then I'm like, okay, cool. Now I'll go to the second one.
Yeah.
Totally different ingredients. Totally. I'm like, oh my god, this is gonna take me like years to do. So, but
Yeah.
that's just what I did, man. I was like, well, it's too late to turn back now. So, it's been a couple years, but really, I would say people, because there was a lot of back end work where, a lot of research, a lot of data entry that people would never watch
Yeah.
or listen to, none of that sexy Instagram stuff, you know.
Yeah.
So there was a lot leading up to it but I would say we've been rolling, I'd say a little over a year. It's been
Right. Yeah.
with the new version of the app and just what we do on social media. It's been like a year probably.
Yeah. I would probably say from when I really took notice of what you guys are doing was probably, like you say, probably around a year. We've been going 2 years, was in February.
Hmm.
And I think it felt like it was pretty much near the beginning. I feel like what we did and what a few other people have done in terms of using Instagram to create a community and create people that are on the same wavelength started all around the similar time.
Hmm.
And I find that the ones that were not doing that are now starting to slowly kind of
Yeah.
fade away to a certain extent. Because, like, you see yourself, like, we know people in this community, whether it be in the US, whether it be in the UK, Europe, Australia, there's certain people that are doing things right now. And I think that we've all kind of created a movement and it's kind of moved from there,
Yeah.
which is awesome to see.
Yeah.
So as well as the app, you also do some other stuff, especially that you've launched now in terms of consulting and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, do you want to
Yeah.
explain anything on that wavelength or?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a huge thing that we've been doing. So what happened was, it kind of fits in. The consulting was never really part of what we were thinking about. When we launched the app, like I said, what the approach I take is a little different than, and if this is kind of a philosophical point on my end, where I feel like a lot of problems that we run into these days are we Google what the answer is, right?
yeah,
And then someone tells us the answer. Well, that doesn't, or we go like, Alexa, tell me the answer to this. Google, tell me the
yeah,
answer to this. That doesn't help us. You know what I mean? Like having someone hold our hand the whole time and just tell us what to do is like it maybe in that moment or depending on the question, it might help a little bit. But
yeah,
what I wanted to do was take it deeper than that. Like really give people the tools they need where they're okay. Like I'm the worst influencer on the planet because I try to show you how not to need my help. You know what
yeah,
I mean? It's like where you have we're so like ingrained in this society where it's like, oh, how do I keep people engaged, keep people
yeah,
coming back? Like, I'll trickle out the answers to you. We're not like that at all because I don't think that helps people. And so what we noticed was a lot of people that take supplements are very entrepreneurial. A lot of people want to start their own businesses. They want to start their own supplement companies.
yeah,
They're always thinking more and more and more. That's why they get into supplements, I think, too, because they're trying to like hack their way to like a little bit, an extra percentage of efficiency or
yeah,
creativity and stuff. So we had a lot of brands reaching out to us. Prady has been growing, my business partner at Supplement Snoop. He has been growing businesses in and out of the supplement industry for like, he's one of those people that came out of the womb just like like a business savage, you know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
So a lot of people would ask, like he's a lawyer too, so people would come to us with like legal questions because you don't realize, you want to start a supplement company, you're like, oh, I made a cool formula. I can
yeah,
come up with a cool formula. Like nobody gives a shit about your formula. Like if you can't do, like there's so much more to it than that. There's so many pitfalls, and because you
yeah,
guys have your own line now. It's like
yeah,
people are always like, Justin, when are you gonna come out with your own line? I was like, do you know how much work it is
yeah, yeah,
to come out with a line and then
yeah,
distribution and getting it in people's hands and education? But so we had a lot of people that would ask us for help. And what I noticed too was the same way where how we came up with the app to really help with education in a non-marketing way. I would see a lot of, like, we've all been, I think, victims of consultants or marketers, and they're like, oh, I'll help you grow your platform. I'll help you
yeah,
grow your
exactly,
social
yeah,
media. And then a couple $1,000s later, you have nothing to show for it.
yeah,
So Brady and I wanted to take that approach that we do and really like work in depth with brands that share the same sort of values, and get to a more like foundational level. So we've got into the consulting aspects of it, and we've been able to use our skills both in and out of the supplement industry as far as like really building strong foundations for brands,
yeah,
because there's some people doing some really cool stuff out there.
yeah,
And what happens is it's like it's never the formula that trips companies up.
no,
It's all the other stuff,
yeah,
the stuff that you never anticipate, the hidden costs, the relationships, the manufacturers. It's like the next thing you know, people are like, they're out of passion, they're out of motivation, they're
Yeah.
out of money. So we try to eliminate that process for people, and we try to take like a more like strategy based approach and help people. We're not big on like advertisements and stuff, although we know that stuff too. But it's really like a fundamental thing that we feel like we should pass on, because you can't Google how to start a supplement company.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Exactly.
know,
Yeah.
no one will tell you. So that's why we created the course. We have an online course that we just released, that's like a bunch of different parts of actually how to do it, because it's never been done before, because these are big secrets
Yeah.
within the
Exactly. Yeah.
industry. It's like the
Yeah.
same group of people know these things. They're not going to tell you. You're their competition.
Yeah.
Whereas Brady and I were like, I'm tired of seeing the same people with the same edge, when there's a lot of people out there that really want to do some cool things, and they're
Yeah.
getting tripped up. They're getting tripped up by things that we can stop. We can help them. So
Yeah.
that's how that got started, man. It's like, it's crazy though. It's
Yeah.
it's crazy once you start to get out there and you meet other people and you start to work together, what you can accomplish
Well,
together.
exactly. Yeah. And I think it's a great idea. And I think it's something that, like you say, no one was doing. We had, I mean, yeah, I mean, you would have seen the same companies around for God knows how many years. And the thing is that a lot of those companies have potentially, I mean, some haven't, but a lot of them companies have potentially made it because they had a lot of money behind them. However,
Right.
the other side to it is, and I've heard you say it quite a lot, is that you don't need a lot of money to start one. But what you do need is the right advice and the right kind of path to go down. Because we sell a few brands ourselves from the States, which are quite small brands. And the formulas, the branding, everything's perfect. But some of them just don't sell that well. And it's that little something that they're missing.
Mm-hmm.
Where, like for myself, I would take them all day long. I love them. But the average person will sometimes look and go, there's something missing. And I
Mm-hmm.
think giving them people a bit of an edge with yourself and Brady looking over it, seeing what you think.
Yep.
You two might not always be right in what you say, and you guys will be the first to admit that. But you offer that extra level of advice, commitment, someone to be there to kind of show you the way, but at the same time to help you learn the way. And I think that's something that you do quite well, especially when you answer your questions. Is it's people always want like you've said, they always want the answer, just like boom, what is the answer? Tell
Yeah.
me now. Whereas
Right.
it's a case of sometimes going, well, what do you think? What does it
Mm-hmm.
sound like? For example, some people might say, can I take this carbohydrate into workout? Well, what do you think? What do you think you can take a carbohydrate into workout? You could take any carbohydrate into workout. There's no way to say you cannot. But the one thing to say is look at how heavy it is, the structure of it, how is it going to feel when it goes into your stomach. You can learn these things yourself. And I think a lot of the things, I don't think you've taken a supplement course to learn these things.
No.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, I'll say, okay, so I'll tell a story. So when I decided to make the Supplement Snoop app, so for anyone out there listening that's entrepreneurial, and maybe you think you can't do something, or you shouldn't do something, I knew nothing about supplements, literally nothing, and nothing about coding or building an app.
Yeah,
So if I can do that, as cliche as it sounds, you can do it too. It
yeah,
just might take a little bit of work. But if you, and one point that you hit on there, I think is perfect. We get a lot of clients because, you're a retailer. I've always believed retailers are like the lifeblood of supplements, because you're on the front lines with
yeah,
education. A bad retailer, in my opinion, can really screw people up, because they're coming to you for advice on, and something, and this gets to be like a really passionate subject of mine too. It's like a lot of people are coming to you. Some people are like, hey bro, just tell me a great pre-workout to use.
yeah,
But there's a lot of people that are coming to you with, they're in trouble, man. They're looking for someone to really help them, and
yeah,
they're totally lost. And I see, retailers that don't take that seriously. They're like, okay, well, I'll just recommend whatever my best margin, product is, or
yeah,
something like that, when that might not be what you need. But they're thinking about it wrong. The long-term value of a supplement customer is just astronomical.
yeah,
If you get someone started off on the right foot, they'll just keep coming back to you because they trust you. And it's like, and something we talk about in business, there's a lot of people that like they know that we're friends, and oh, you can get me and with Danny over, and I can get my products in the UK. And
Yeah.
Pretty and I are like, well, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Like we don't. That's another thing that happens in this industry. It's a big family reunion, man.
Yeah.
Like everybody freaking knows each other. Everybody doing favors for each other, and that's why there's so many shitty businesses, because that's not how you
Yeah.
do business. Like if we have a client that says, "Can we get into the UK? Can I get an insight?" We say, "Okay, how do we get you retail ready?" We talk about this a lot. Is your company retail ready? Is it Amazon ready? Whatever your goals are, we want to make sure your company's ready to do that, because I'm there. I would never in a million years be like, "Hey, Danny, we got this brand that we're working with, man. Can you bring them on just as like a favor to me?"
Yeah.
That's bullshit. That is like bullshit. People do it all the time.
Yeah, they do.
And it's like, that doesn't teach our client anything about what it takes to build a good relationship with you by just doing favors for each other.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
we're very anti the way the system is
Yeah.
set up. It doesn't help it, and that helps. It helps you. It
Yeah.
helps them. Helps us. Everybody wins.
No, no, exactly. It does, because if you were to say that and I were to say, oh, well, yeah, you're my buddy, so I'll take that brand on, even if I hate it. I'm going to be sat there probably, 3-5 grand down just because I've done a
Right.
favour, which is
Right.
then in turn you not being a good friend. So yeah, I think it's a minefield when it comes to that type of thing. But the one thing that you touched on then, which was quite good, is like for us when we first started this, we have a lot of people that used to come into our store. We're kind of from the area we live in it's not, I wouldn't say it's a poor area, but where the shop was first based is a fairly kind of poorish area of kind of where we are. And we used to have a lot of people that would come in and go. So for example, there was one guy and he came in and he said, I want some protein. I said, okay, no problem, buddy. What, is there any type of flavor? Do you want a blend, an isolate, whatever do you want? You tell me. So it was an oldish guy, and he kind of said, no, I just want protein. I don't care what it is. I said, okay, that's fine. I said, are you wanting something? Are you dieting? Do you want something low calorie? Would you prefer something that's not? Do you want a weight gainer? What do you need? Because there's quite a few people that typically want a weight gainer because they think it's just going to gain them muscle. But anyway, so he kind of said, oh, well, I just want a big bag of protein. I said, okay, well, that's cool. We do this tub, I can do this tub. And I knew because it looked a bit like maybe, he was a general dude. He probably didn't have a lot of money. I said, you know what? I literally cut my price in half and I offered him at cost. And I offered him this bag of protein at cost. So no, not a bag, it was a tub. And he goes, well, I can get a 5 kilogram bag of protein on eBay for £20. And I said, well, I was offering him, I think it was, have you heard of Mutant Iso Surge? You will have done, I'm guessing. Yeah, so it was that, and I was offering him something really cheap over here. It was something like £40. And he goes, no, I can get this one on eBay for £25. It's a 5 kilogram bag. I said, well, do you know what's in it? He said, well, protein. It says protein. I said, well, yeah, but do you know that? And he's like, I said, mate, you cannot manufacture protein for that price. I'm telling you right now. You probably are eating dog food or something of that kind of consistency. And he didn't like it. But the thing is, like, that's us technically doing a good deed. But he sees it as we're getting at him. Yeah. So he never came back, to put the story short.
That's a tough thing. I deal with that every single day. People always ask me, like, well, do you get sick of getting asked what's the best, or a new person? I get a lot of new people asking questions, and those are my favorites. And that's the filtering process that we use every single time. Is a person comes in with that mentality, you have the opportunity to change that person's trajectory on how, not only how they look at, I've had a lot of people, I mean, this is like a humbling thing to even like think about, but a lot of people are like, just by getting me to think about supplements in a different way has made me think about other things like in a different way. Like why am I so dependent on someone to tell me the answer to freaking everything?
Yeah.
Like whatever happened to, like, we have all this information at our disposal, right? Endless amounts of information, but we don't use it.
Yeah.
Anything. We just want to know what's the best, click there, buy, shows up on my doorstep. It's like, well, you just missed out on the whole entire process.
Exactly.
That you have to be willing to not make a sale too. There's a lot of people that they're like, well, we made the very controversial decision to charge money for this entire thing. And there's a lot of people who don't like it. So
Yeah.
I'm like, well, it's either you get money from brands. The ironic thing is, I see a lot of people that do free content and they charge advertising money and brands pay them.
Yeah.
Well, people criticize them for that.
Yeah.
And then we don't do that. We charge customers and then people criticize us for that. So you're never gonna
Yeah.
satisfy everyone. So
No, you're
that's
not.
like, but that's our filtering process is if I challenge someone to think about it on a deeper level, like they'll either tell me that this is bullshit, I'm out of here, and I'm like, all right, we'll see you later,
Yeah.
or it clicks, and then we can build like a, just a better relationship and think about these things sort of on a deeper level. And that's when I'm sure for every customer like that, you've got those customers, you have those stories of these people that walk in with the same mentality, but you were able to switch that, and
Yeah.
now they're gonna buy from you for the rest of their lives, and they're gonna tell their friends
Yeah.
that you actually helped them, rather than just giving them an answer. You
Yeah.
helped them understand why they were doing stuff, and that's the type of things that's the greatest gift I think you can give someone is when you give them the education, the tools, but to also let them make their own decision
Hmm.
and work with them. I think so that's what I love about what retailers are there. I love the position that you're in. You can really do a lot of amazing
You can.
things like every day.
I
So that
agree
is awesome.
100%. And I think it's also a bigger picture. There's a bigger picture to all this. There's not just people that are training. I see it as, my mum, my dad, they don't train, but there's stuff that I
Exactly.
can tell them and teach them which will influence their life. And I love that side to it. Absolutely love it. And you
Yeah.
said it again in terms of um, one big thing is if a customer came in and let's say he used to go and buy a certain pre-workout which doesn't have much in this and that and whatever. Um, if he said to me, "Can you get me this product in?" and I didn't like the look of it, I would say no. I'd say try this one, and any brand I bring into my store, I'm putting my face to it. I'm putting my name behind it. I'm putting my business partner's name and face behind it. Where we're stood here going, you try this. It will have in it what it says on the tin, and we hope for you it will do exactly the same as it does for us or for whoever else has tried it. Now,
Mhm.
that for me is the best thing because if you were to give someone a product you weren't entirely sure of, which a lot of retailers used to do because it had the biggest margins on,
Mhm.
I just don't know how you can live with yourself thinking, okay, I've given this person something, they're probably not going to come back because it's a rubbish product.
Right.
Why would you want to do it? I just don't get it. And I don't know if that's me missing something, but for me, it's a bit like I would rather give you something amazing that I had to work to sell it to you, but
Mhm.
you've then come back the next day and gone, Danny, I've had the best experience of my life. Like that was amazing. I had the best workout. I've improved. My PB's gone up. That's a huge thing for me. Is as much as the money's great, seeing people's reaction is even better. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah,
Well, I think one thing that you touched on in there that I think is something that we miss. Me coming from totally outside the industry, and I sort of got in, and I honestly got in. Like I still look around, and we have conversations with brands and manufacturers, and I'm just like, this is scary, man. Like this is terrifying. Like I can't believe how small this industry makes itself sometimes.
yeah,
There are like literally like billions of people out there that use supplements and are looking for something to sort of help. I mean, everyone thinks that at some point. They're like, man, if I could take something to help me,
yeah,
and you're like, there is something,
yeah,
but then you have to navigate this minefield, like you said before, of just marketing bullshit and just these people and their opinions, and it's just like no wonder people get to they're like, this is exhausting,
yeah,
like I'm out. So but like one thing you touched on that was perfect is like I'll give an example. People always are like, every time I get like a what's the best question, I always push back. Like I did it to my dad the other day. My dad was like, well, like what's the best, for, he's like, my dad's getting older. He's like, what's the best, like, for, testosterone? I was like, there is no best, Dad. I was like, what's going on? Like, what's this and that? We could talk about certain ingredients, but there's people out there that don't, I mean, my dad trains, but there's billions of people out there that don't train. They don't take PEDs, which a lot of these supplements have sort of been catered to.
yeah,
But there's ingredients out there that can help people be better husbands and fathers and
yeah,
wives and brothers and sisters. And when I hear people be like, hey man, trying this product helped me be more present, because we're all busy, we all have a lot of responsibilities, a lot of distractions. When I hear people talk about whether it gave me more confidence, whether it just improved whatever it is, with whether it's a nootropic, whether it's some kind of energizing thing, if that can help people in the rest of their lives, it's like there's a much bigger picture out there than
Yeah.
that 1 hour workout window that we've been sort of trained to think that like that's it. It's like, what about the other 23 hours,
Yeah.
the day, or people that don't go to the gym at all? It's like this industry could be massive, but we make it smaller, and then we do things to ourselves that, we hurt ourselves as far as our integrity goes.
Yeah, I think
And
so.
that's why, rather than like sitting around pointing fingers, um, we're more in a proactive role where we're like, okay, I see a problem here. I'm not going to bitch about the problem. I'm going to go figure out a solution to it.
Hmm.
And then once you start to do that, you like it resonates with other people, and then you kind of get them on board. Next thing you know, you have, like what you said earlier, you have like a movement going. It's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think it's just weird to see. It's kind of, it's quite cool for myself to see. Obviously, there's people over here that I know that are on a similar wavelength to myself, but it's also good to hear people like yourself in the US that are on exactly the same wavelength. And it's kind of weird because I hear what I want to hear, as in you're saying everything that I'm like, yeah, and I keep saying yes because I'm like, I agree with it. And it's like every time you say something, it triggers something else for me to think, yeah, that's happened in my life. And it's same with like my dad works very, very long hours, and he always has done. And he's never taken, I don't think, a supplement really ever in his life. So basically, it was a case of he's never experienced them. What is something that can help him? Because he doesn't really train. So we actually were. It kind of came across that he potentially was a little bit stressed because he was working so long. His job became a bit stressful. He'd started a new business, and he actually turned around to me and said, and I didn't expect it. He was like, "Is there anything that can help me kind of with help him with his stress and making me feel a little bit better?" And I said, "Funnily enough, there's a lot of products at the moment that are coming out in that sector."
Yeah.
So I gave him. Do you know Strom Sports?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I gave him Support Max Neuro full tub,
Mm-hmm.
and he ended up finishing the full tub.
That's cool,
And
bro.
absolutely loving it. And
Yeah.
that felt so good because,
Mm-hmm.
yet again, it's like we're saying, it's not just for people that train. We've helped potentially him feel calmer at work, potentially even produce better content at work. It's an amazing feeling. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
So that was something that I was quite, like, I was happy that I can provide that. Like, that's me providing that to you and giving you that kind of, I guess, knowledge and product. So then another thing I was kind of thinking is to move on to speak to like, how do you see, so like in your industry, there is certain people that are doing things the way we would speak, for example. I know that a few of them I follow over there is, there's Natural Body.
Yeah. Yeah, they're awesome.
And there's, who's the guy? Jacob, is it?
Oh, a nutrition store?
Yeah, he's cool, man. He's a cool guy.
Yeah. I love Jacob, yeah.
Do you know what his when he goes around with a microphone in the store? I think that's
he's
one
awesome.
that's one of the best things I've seen.
Absolutely, man. Go ahead.
Who else is there over there that's kind of doing a similar thing?
Well, there's a lot of people that have, from being in our private Facebook group. There's like Natural Body Inc. does it. Nutrition Store. I freaking love those guys. They're awesome. Jesse from Nutrition Junction is a smaller one, but man, he's gonna kill it. Sean from NutriFit,
yes,
he's one of our clients. Man, he's got a good thing going. He really, it's kind of like one of those people, and him being one of our clients, that was kind of the thing is, he shares sort of the same vision, that we kind of have too, and that's important to have, like, the right fit, because we could never go into a certain relationship with a client if we're just not, if the ship's not all going in the same direction, we'll just pass. And that's one thing about Brady and I. We've just been very selective on who we work with, and not that if you don't agree with us that you're wrong. It's just so much in this industry has to go right.
Yeah.
You can't be wavering all over the place and stuff, because once you slip up and you start to regress, man, you're in deep shit. So that's one thing, you just constantly have to be going, at least, everyone's got to be on the same page, going the same direction. But we
Yeah.
see a lot. It was actually Natural Body Inc. I think was the first. Mile Factor was another one. Mile Factor is kind of a local place to us down here. But when I saw Natural Body Inc. and met
Yeah.
Tim Gritzman from Natural Body Inc., I was like, yes, this is what, when you, like what we talked about, like when you start to speak that language and then you hear it, it's sort of like being in like a foreign country and then all of a sudden you hear someone speak the same language as you and you're like, hey man, like I get that. Like, let's talk, kind of
Yeah.
thing. So once I sort of saw, because I was always going into vitamin shops and GNCs and stuff like that, and like I do it now for just fun, like pure morbid curiosity. I'll go in and I'll be like, I'll ask somebody for like a pre-workout just to see what they'll say, and
Yeah. Yeah.
I just kind of laugh. But when I saw what Natural Body Inc. was doing, the fact that really trying to get to know their customers, really investing heavily into their employees, um, creating that culture
Yeah.
and seeing it, the trickle down effect it has on people around them, I was like, you can do things like that and be super successful.
Yeah.
It just takes more work, but the payoff is just so much greater. So I think that that's why I've always been fascinated with how retailers do things, because you hold so much power
Mm.
in this industry, that's why I always like to. I can't be everywhere to help people. If I can point someone towards you, then I know that they're fine. I know that
Yeah.
they're getting the education and they're gonna get a good product and stuff. So I can just go, hey, go talk to Danny, or go talk to Jacob, or go talk to Tim. And
Yeah.
that's good for me, because then I don't have to be there, all the time.
Yeah.
There's other people out there that you're like, oh, okay, they take the same approach. So
Yeah.
it's good
Exactly.
to see. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's like I say, I've been watching I've been watching Natural Body Stories for a while, and Tim's very, very clever. Like, he's a
He's
super clever dude.
he's a
Um,
good dude. Very good
sometimes
guy.
like too clever. I'm just sat there thinking, what the fuck is he on about? Um,
Yeah.
but I think having those people is great as well, because it gives kind of another level where, for myself, like I don't claim to know everything about supplements. What I will give you is kind of just the truth and the amounts that I know, and I will always say, I know this, I've read this. It's up to you if you want to believe it or not, but this is what I think it
Hmm.
does. This is what I would suggest it does. But having the people as well that kind of know a lot more science behind it has really helped me as well as a retailer. Like for myself, learning off him, learning off yourself, learning off supplement engineers, great as well. I'm trying to think who else I've watched that I've learned things off, but they're probably the main ones, really.
Yeah, and I think that that's one thing that I realized when I started. So when I started to create the app and I started to do all this research myself, I was like, well, okay, you go across things like Examine, or you can find some scientific things.
Yeah,
What I realized right away, because people are always like, well, I can just go Google this. I was like, well, good luck, because you Google this stuff, or then I would find the study, and I'm like, well, that doesn't help anybody.
yeah, yeah,
Because if I just regurgitate what I just read on there about this study, 0.1% of people are going to go, oh yeah, yeah, okay,
yeah,
but
exactly.
they already know that stuff anyway. Like how, so when you look at the app is very, like, everything's put into layman's terms as much as
Hmm.
possible, because you don't want to sacrifice the integrity of the science,
Yeah,
but you want to be able to explain it in a way where people are going to understand what you're trying to say,
exactly.
rather than just copying and pasting a study saying,
Yeah,
oh, this ingredient was shown to, increase this, and it's like, well, that doesn't help
yeah,
people to read that. They go, okay, like, what does this actually mean to you in your life? And that's why we added the private Facebook group on top of it. I always compare, like, the app is like your textbook, and then the group is like your classmates and maybe like your faculty, or however you want to look at it, because you want to be able to talk about this stuff too. This is like really complex stuff,
yeah,
and then you want to be able to talk to your other people, like, hey man, this is how I use it. That's helped me in my life. I use it. I use this product, and before I take my kids to the park, or I take this before a long night at work. I'm a police officer. I work
yeah,
a factory job. I work two jobs to support my family, and this is how I use this. And everyone's got their unique story, and that's what we try to do. Is anyone can tell you oh, ashwagandha is good for stress or whatever.
Yeah,
But how then what do we do with that? What do we do with that
yeah,
information? There's a whole, extra layer of that we sort of try to put together for people. And that's
yeah,
what retailers do. I think you're on the front lines of doing that. You're like, you get to know these people, you look them in the eye, you talk to them, you get to know their families, you get to know their personal lives, and that's where the really cool stuff like
yeah,
really happens. You know what I
yeah,
mean? So, and I know you
definitely.
take a lot of pride in that.
Yeah, exactly. And you touched on something there about the whole thing. You can read a study, and what you've done with the app is make it a little bit more simplified, but keep the science there. And what I found is it's also good for us, like us as people that are, I guess, influencers and are getting asked questions and are speaking and answering questions. What I found is really good for me is they always say that if you learn something, the best way to learn it more is to teach it to somebody else. And
Mm-hmm.
I found that massively when it came to someone's come in the store or someone's just messaged me and they've asked me a question. I've gone, I'm a little bit unsure on that. Let me have a quick reread. Let me see what I think. And then let me speak it out loud. And once you start
Mm-hmm.
speaking it, you start to understand it more. Um, and that's a great way that you've done with the app. And funnily enough, through your Facebook group, we decided to do a Facebook group only recently because I think it works amazingly. Honestly, like as much as we've copied that idea off of you. It's such a compliment to yourself because you are the one person that gave me that idea. And it has worked so well for you, so well for us. And it's just because, like you say, a study might say 7 out of 10 participants, nitric oxide levels rose by this much because of this ingredient. Now, what about the other three? Because these other three people could be someone that sat listening to you, and you could be telling them, take Vaso 6, you will get this effect, da 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 da, right? Now, what I found is with the Facebook group, you can have people that come and say, I tried this, didn't do anything, what did it do for you guys? And that's amazing because then you're not, it's proving the theory of everyone is so different, everyone lives so different,
Mm-hmm.
everyone's bodies are so different, and to be able to do that, I just think is such a kind of a blessing because
Mm-hmm.
nobody talks to each other. If you go buy some clothing from, I don't know, Nike's website, you're not going to then go speak to someone else who's buying from Nike's website and say, "How was your clothing?" Like it just doesn't happen,
Right.
does it? So to be able to
Yeah.
talk to people from the same, like what we're doing from the same retailer, I find that you can get a bit of a community going in that regard. Because they're like, "Oh, I purchased this last month. I liked it. You should try it." And it's cool to see people talking. Like it must have been the same for you when you first seen people that you spoke to talking to each other. It's like seeing your children like speak to each other. Like it's weird.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and that's you nailed it like on every level there because this is also the cool thing about supplements and also the tough thing about supplements is it's not shirts and shoes and stuff like that. This is stuff going in people's bodies and they're really trying to use it to improve some aspect of their life. It's a very intimate, very personal conversation and people don't take it seriously enough. And when you create, that was always our goal. We're like, the app is something. There's nothing else like it. It's we're super proud of it, but I am more proud of the community because when you provide a place that people can actually talk to about this stuff, it's why we set a price tag on it.
mhm.
Sorry, there's a lot of free Facebook groups and stuff out there that are just a total shit show, and
Yeah.
no one gets anywhere. So we're going to put up a barrier of entry. If you want to be a part of this, then, and if you don't, then go. There's plenty of other places to go. See you later. Like knock yourself out. I don't care. But like that, driving that dialogue, because a lot of supplementation, a lot of this stuff isn't proven. We prove it maybe in a rat study, or
Yeah.
there's very rarely are there going to be any studies of, okay, we know what citrulline does, but do
Mhm.
we know what citrulline plus agmatine plus nitrates plus caffeine, do we know what that does? Like you're never going to see studies like that. So it's up
Exactly.
to us. It's up to us to talk about these things. And that's one thing that we wanted to do was just we want to make sure that everyone has skin in the game when we talk about this stuff because these are serious conversations. So that's why we charge money for it. People come in, they're not going to BS. They have no reason because they're only hurting themselves and they're only hurting other people. But at the beginning, we started the Facebook group and there's like 10 of us,
Yeah.
and I'm starting topics and conversations and trying to drive conversation. Now I can't even keep up with the Facebook group. I just go on there. I'm like, holy shit, these people are like, they're just, talking to each other. And
Yeah.
like that is like, to me, is makes every single, you know, dark, horrible, hard night where you're just tears, you can't sleep because you've sacrificed everything. It makes everything worth it when I see
Yeah.
stuff like that. So I know I'm good, because my goal always was, I want to create something that will far outlive me, because you never know,
Yeah.
right? You never know what's going to happen. And not to get into a morbid conversation there, but what would be cooler than to just make something that really helps people, benefits them, and then they can, pay it forward to other people.
Exactly. Exactly that. And I think it's so good to kind of see that. Like for me, I'm pretty young, so I've never had a good high end job. I've worked in bars, I've not done a lot. I've been to uni, and that's kind of it for me. I've done a bit of PTing, so I've never really had money. So for me, it's kind of a different side to yourself. Obviously, you had a really good job, and you sacrificed a lot more. Um, for me, it was a case of not having money and still not having money, but it's
Yeah.
it's worth it. Like for me, because I prefer just doing something I love, and I think people don't do that enough. If you know what I mean. There's
Absolutely.
Yeah, like there's a lot of people. I mean, you're just an absolute example of it, because you would much rather make a change to people and do something you enjoy and be passionate about than sit there, yeah, count your money, have a nice time, But the one thing I guess you could say is when you die, have you changed? Have you done anything really?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah, and it's like that when I grew up, like, we were very poor, nothing, like absolutely nothing. Like, um, grew up in a trailer basically. All that was ingrained in me was, if you get a job, go find a job, contribute that way. That's your contribution
yeah,
towards the world. Like, I got really good grades and stuff like that, but like my parents were like, "Hey man, the whole family works in the shop. Like, you're gonna work in the shop. Like, that's what our family does." And so you're like, okay. And then as we sort of went on, things got better for us. The whole path in front of you was sort of laid out. It's like, okay, things are going really well now. Just work ethic and trying different things. And at one point, I was like, I don't think that this is how I want the rest of my life to be.
yeah,
When I started doing the supplement Snoop thing, that was a purely for my selfish purposes. I wanted to learn this stuff. And then when I started to put that out there, you could see how necessary a lot of it was for a lot of people. And that's when I sort of was like, you know what, this really isn't about me, kind of thing. Like, this is about, and not everyone, it's not that I think that I'm better than other people for thinking that. It's like, whatever your contribution is, that's what it is. Just run with it. Just
yeah,
crush whatever you feel, put everything into it. So what I realized was, I was like, if I'm going to do this, I can't do it like part time. I can't do it half assed. I can't do it like on the side as a side hustle. Like, that's not how you really,
yeah,
can get out there and help people. So luckily, I have the most understanding wife on the planet. I was like, we had just bought our forever home,
yeah,
like in the town I grew up in, that all my family was there. And I'm like, you know what? This is not what I want. And
yeah.
she's like, then let's go. Let's do it.
That's
I'm
so
like,
good though.
are you crazy? like what, don't encourage me to do stuff like this. But so then when you, but then if I could touch on this too, there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there. We did all that, and there's still nothing waiting for you, like at the end of the rainbow.
No.
Like, we did all the cliches, like sacrificed everything, didn't sleep. You gave all your money, you give everything up, but there's still no one waiting for you, going, "Oh, good job, you did that. Here's your check. Like, congratulations. Here's your wish." And you're like, no, you get there and go, man, this was just the beginning, like,
Yeah.
of everything. And I remember I was having a conversation with Matt Nickerson behind Base 06, and we had this similar, because he's very popular now. The ingredient's very popular and stuff. And he was like, when I discovered this ingredient and how much it could help, he's like, he's like, I was turned down by so many people. He's like, I was like I was sleeping on a mattress in somebody's basement, basically.
Wow.
And he's like, I thought I was gonna die being the only person that got it. Like, because no one cares. Like, you get down to the end of it, and it's like no one really cares. You really have to get out there and you have to stick to it. So, but then when you start to see, but then that's why you realize that it's not for everyone,
Yeah.
because a lot of people in your position, I'm sure you've been through a lot of tough times with the retail, and you still have a lot of tough times ahead of you. But a lot of people got to that first obstacle that you did and never made it past that because they're like, well,
Mm.
this is not for me. I can't do this. Where you're like, well, I got to figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
I,
Exactly.
I have no choice. I always compare it to like, I jumped out of the plane. You better figure out how to pull the parachute and land because
Yeah. Yeah.
you can't climb back in the plane once you sort of jump. So I
Yeah.
think that that's what I see from you too. And that's why I know like people like you will be successful because your foundation is sort of in place and you're like, well, I'm not going to stop like, cause that's not
Yeah.
an option.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think what actually happened with us is I don't know kind of how much you know, but when we first started, we actually originally we were in the gym, and I was really into kind of supplements and that side of it, and we decided to make a smoothie bar, and the smoothie bar was just above the gym, and it basically we launched in winter, so it failed completely. Obviously, winter over here is really really cold, so
Right. Yeah.
nobody wanted any smoothies. So in the end, we started just selling supplements. But then I'm selling these supplements, and um, yeah, you know what I'm going to say. I was selling these supplements; they were the cheaper ones, and I'm like, "What is this I'm selling? Like, this is just rubbish." So anyway,
Mhm.
then we approached an American brand, and I said, "I like what the Americans are doing. It's different. It's there's more transparency. The flavors are better. It seems like they just work better." And that's kind of where the idea came from, was doing American supplements over here. And there were people doing it before me, don't get me wrong, but they weren't doing it
Mhm.
correctly. They
Mhm.
were bringing over the big corporate brands, but the ones that were just, well, this is just as bad as the brands that were over here.
Yep.
So yeah, we actually approached Run Everything Labs first, and it was really, it's really weird to look back and think that they were the first
Mhm.
brand. Um, but yeah, so anyway, when we did that, obviously we basically had nothing. Me and my business partner put every bit of money we had into that brand, and we literally said, if that brand doesn't work, we're done. Anyway, that brand started to work. We made a tiny bit of money. We didn't really know much about business, so we were probably selling it for cost. And then basically it came around to Body Power, and Body Power was obviously the big show over here. And I
Mhm.
turned to him and said, "Shall we just do Body Power and get a small stand?" And he said, "Well, yeah, why not? What have we got to lose?" And I said, "To be honest with you, we don't have much to lose. I mean, we're already kind of at the bottom. What do we do?"
Right.
So we literally it was a lot of money. It was the most, I think we had to take a loan from my mum and dad. I think we took a loan from his best friend. And we got this 3 by 2 meter booth. So it was literally like as big
Mhm.
as this screen. And we literally were shaking the first day. We were petrified of what might happen, because if it didn't work, basically we said to each other, "That's the end. We're done." And funnily enough, it went really well. We made our money back, which is basically unheard of. And yeah, we were super, super happy with how it went. But I always had people that were kind of saying, "Danny, come on, man, just get a grip, get a real job, stop pursuing a dream that won't work." And
Yeah.
I still always thought, no, hold on a minute, I'm quite stubborn, and I'm like, no, I'm going to make this work. And it took a long while before we kind of relaxed. To be honest, I think we've only just slightly relaxed now.
Mhm.
And there's still always the worry of, what if this happens? What if that happens?
Yep.
And funnily enough, last year, my partner got pregnant, and we were living at my mum and dad's house still. And we were like, shit, what do we do? And this is when people still think, at that point, people thought we weren't in big money. People thought we were like, wow, we're Insight Subs, we're doing this amazing thing, we must be
Right.
rich. And I'm
Yeah.
like, what are we going to do? We
Mhm.
can't bring a child up in my bedroom from when I've been a child. So anyway, my mum and dad actually bailed us out and helped, and basically they remortgaged and got us the house we're in now. So we still don't own this house, and for a long time I don't think we will.
Yeah. There's a lot
It's
of people that I think that's one big thing with the way social media has sort of skewed um, when you get out there, like not many people will tell their story like the way you have. Not many people will tell the story the way I have, and be honest with people because you want to make it seem like
Yeah.
the Instagram lifestyle where I always tell people like we get on initial calls with brands and we work with retailers and stuff like that, and we sort of are like, what's a brand that you look at and say, hey, that's like what I like, or
Yeah.
not that we're going to model it after it, but we always like to see the thought process there. And some people will mention brands, and I was like, let me tell you a little secret about that brand. They don't make any money. Like, and I was like, just because they look like they make money, I was like, there is a lot of people in this industry that are very good at making fake money
Yeah.
and making it look like they're actually doing well when they're not. And that's why so many brands ultimately will fail.
Hmm.
They're not set up for success long term. They put the cart before the horse, but you don't learn these things until like it's too late, and that's
Yeah.
where we sort of try to come in. It's like, well, how do you keep someone from making those same mistakes and really like sticking to what you're good at? Like that's what every time you see like new businesses, no matter what industry you're in, they're always like, well, how do we differentiate? How do we differentiate from the competition? How can we do something different? It's like, well, you're different.
Yeah.
Like your uniqueness, it makes you different from any other retailer out there. Your story. Now, no one cares about your story, like until you're successful. Then they're like, oh,
Yeah.
I want to hear it. But nobody
Yeah.
gives a shit. Nobody cares if you're struggling or whatever when you're starting your business. Like nobody wants to hear that stuff until later. But that's what we try to identify too, is what is it about you that makes you unique, and let's hone in on that and drive that, because that is something that it'll never be a victim to an algorithm change or costs in advertising changing, because that's you,
Yeah.
and you're something that you're going to be able to get through that other people won't, is exactly like what you're telling me now. It's like,
Yeah.
no one's been through that exact situation like you have, so how can we make that like make you successful based on what your strengths already are, I guess. And
Yeah.
that's what we sort of try to talk to people about. And that's why our approach, much like the Supplement Snoop app and things, it's much deeper, especially on a consulting level, than going, oh well, you should click this box on Facebook
Yeah.
ads for this demographic, or do more social media content. That's all bullshit. Like that's
Yeah.
all people that got successful doing that. That was a while ago, and they
Yeah.
got in on it. But if you're trying to follow that model now, you're behind.
Yeah.
Other people are going to crush you when you get out there. So, what is it about you that is your special, makes you unique, and you sort of hone in on that and just kind of drive it
Yeah.
forward.
It is exactly that. It is exactly what you've just said completely, because when we started doing Insight, we had a time period where we were recording like products, like with our phone, looking at the product and talking. It's like I would be talking like this. And one of our athletes that we took on right at the start, he was really good on social media. And he messaged me and he said, Danny, why don't you just show your face? I said, who wants to see my fucking face?
A lot of people, man.
Yeah.
A lot of
And
people
that's
do.
it. But you sit down and you think to yourself, but why would they want to listen to my voice, my face, and me talking shit about supplements? But then once you go and do it, and you're like, hold on a second, I'm getting more followers. People are messaging me like, oh, thank you for that, dude. I'm like, I haven't done anything. I don't understand what I'm doing. But like you said, it's what's special, what's unique about you. And I think even if you don't have something completely unique, I think just putting yourself on the platform and saying, this is, my face is here. Anything you want to say it to, me. This is what I'm pushing. You've given that reassurance that there's a face there. So when you look at a big company, like for example, if I was looking at, I don't know, for example, let's say a USN product. So I would look at a USN product and I would go, okay, that was terrible. But I don't know who the fuck is the CEO of USN.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
for me, I would much rather buy from someone where I sit and think, okay, that guy owns it. He's put his face to it. Surely it must be worth a try. And funnily enough, another thing I thought a while ago that I was going to say is when you said about going into GNC and Vitamin Shop and them places, we have my mum and dad own a place in Florida. So we used to go over there quite a lot, like, once, twice a year at one point. And whenever I went over, I would go to the supplement shops, and I think it would normally be a GNC. And it was so hilarious because at that point, I still didn't really know what I was doing at all. and I'd
Yeah.
still stop. And every year I went back, I'd have learned a little bit more. So it was made it even more funny.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd go in and there'd be this like overweight woman on the desk. And I'd go in and say, "Oh, I'm looking for some products to take. I'm just on holiday. Like I'm looking to, keep the muscle up, this and that." And they would always point you towards
The program stuff.
like the muscle building section. So it would be like
Yeah.
testosterone boosters.
Mm-hmm.
What else was
The
on there?
GNC brand, of course.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And it would just
Yeah.
be like, "Oh, why would I take this?" And I remember going in I think it was 2 years ago, so it was just before I started Insight, and I knew a decent amount then. And I went in and I said to her, I said, "Why would I buy that?" And she said to me, "What did she say?" "Well, it has salt in it." Something along the lines of salt. And I was like, "Well, why am I wanting salt? I've asked for something completely different. I could go buy that from Walmart. Like, what are you telling me to get?" So
Right.
anyways, then I said to her, "What? How about a pre-workout? Will you show me a good pre-workout?" And I was doing it just to kind of see what she'd say. And she took me
Yeah.
over. She showed me. I think it was either one of their own or it was something really really terrible. And I said, "Oh, so what's good about this one? Can you tell me why I would take this one?" And she said, "Well, it features caffeine." And I said,
That's
"Right.
nice.
Well, that's nice. I'm pretty sure I asked for a pre-workout with caffeine in."
Yeah.
Yeah. I said, "Well, what else does it feature?" "It features pumps," is the word she said. "It features pumps." I said, "Oh, so there's the pumps inside this tub?" She was like, "Yeah, it gives you pumps." And she literally just read the
Right.
front, the advertisements on the front.
Yeah.
And I was
Yeah.
like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah. Yeah, because that's just kind of the way. And one thing, there's a lot of topics that you and I could talk a lot about that you just said. Like, first of all, the Q&A thing, like you do the questions, like I started doing that like a year ago, right? And I do it every day. It shocks me still to this day. Like if you look at the people that watch my stories every day, it's it's mind blowing. Like I'm like, why do you people watch my stories every single day?
Yeah.
They're just they're just like, well, this is like these are like big name people. I was like, I know you have other stuff to do, but one thing that I think is really cool is not only do people want to listen to you and because other people will be like, well, Justin, how do you do it? I'm like, I don't know. Like people are like, oh, well, growing social media and doing Q&As. And they're like, I have 50,000 followers. I do a question and answer sticker. I get no responses.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, I have like 4,000 followers. I get like 60 a day. You know what I mean? It's like, but you can't explain it. You're just like, I don't know. That's just what,
Yeah.
when we were getting ready to launch the app, I'm going on like 10 different tangents. There's so much to talk about. When we were getting ready to launch the app, Preeti and I were like, okay, so what's our marketing strategy going to be here? Email campaigns and all this other stuff. And I started doing just randomly the one day, I was like, I did a question sticker and I was like, I must have got 100 questions on the first day. And I was like, well, do you guys want me to do this every day? And everyone said yes. And I was like, okay. So I started doing it every day. And I told Preeti, I was like, we don't need to worry about it was the best funnel for us. Not only is it beneficial for the people that watch, it's really beneficial for us
Mm-hmm.
because there's a lot of trust involved with what we do and the amount of money that it costs. It's not a real simple process. So I mean that you just never know. You kind of stumble on something.
Yeah.
I didn't know. Some people ask me, they're like, "Well, how'd you grow your social media that fast and you have so much engagement?" I'm like, I don't know. Like I can't.
Yeah. You
I could
can't. No.
try. I could lie to you and say if you buy my course for $1,000, I'll tell you how, but it would be a total lie. I'm like,
Yeah.
you find something that you can do that you can be consistent with, and that resonates with people, and they really like to hear from people like you. They just want to hear you talk, and they want to
Exactly.
hear you
Yeah.
talk about, and then they're like, okay, I trust this person, because it pushes against everything we've been sort of led to believe now, where you go into a GNC. I hate to always harp on GNC. There's a lot of good GNC people out there, but you're set up in a corporate structure that doesn't allow you to help the way a lot of people want to help. I know a lot of frustrated GNC employees that it's why they always move on to better things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like people start at GNC and then they go elsewhere. Now think about that on GNC's corporate level. How many super talented people that they've let go because they want their corporate structure set up a certain way. And
Yeah.
GNC they hemorrhage money year after year. They haven't made a profit in like 20 years, right? They've lost all these amazing people in their system because they're thinking about it incorrectly.
Yeah.
rather than the long-term value of customers. So when I see retailers like the way you're taking it, I'm like, you're setting yourself up for long-term success. There's
Yeah.
nothing your approach, your education and really helping people, that's recession proof, that's algorithm proof,
Hmm.
it's all that stuff. So when you see a good foundation, the future is going to be good.
Yeah, I think it definitely is. And I think during this time of this corona situation, I think especially it's shown us that what we've created is people that want to support us as well. We have a lot of people that would message in, oh, dude, I'm going to put an order in. I'm going to make it a bit of a bigger one just to support you. And I'm like,
Yeah.
you don't have to do that, but thank you very, very much. Like,
Right.
I don't know why you want to, but I genuinely appreciate it. And the fact that like people would message and go, they would like take time out of the day to send us an Instagram message saying, thank you so much for the order. It was the best service. It was the best product. I loved it. And they'll write like a page, review. And I'm like, I would never have done that before. And it means the absolute world. It really does.
Yeah.
More than the money they've sent, the message after is a hell of a lot more of a smile on my face. But like you said about when people ask you how do you grow on social media, funnily enough, the other month, the old boss of mine at the gym I used to work rang me up and he's like, Danny, I've seen what you've been doing. Can you come and get my Instagram up to more followers and can you help me? And I'm like, I don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
They're like, wait, you've done it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, but how do you, right? You've done it just by being yourself. And so
Yeah.
we actually did this podcast once where it was like as a joke because it's like a search engine optimized term. Like, how do you crush it on social media? And like literally our answer after you sort of listen to it was you just be normal, man. You just actually give a shit like about people. Like the amount of messages, and that's why a lot of people in our positions that put your opinion out there and you put yourself out there, you open yourself up, or if you do things that people don't like, you open yourself up to people are weird.
Yeah.
But you'll know that when you get those messages from people that you really impact, none of that other stuff matters. It's like, dude, there's nothing better than like those messages. Like you said, when people take the time out, the messages I get from people sometimes are just, you just know you're doing the right thing. And that's why it's like, well, there's no way I'm going to stop. They're like, well, people are like, you do the question and whether I'm at the airport, traveling, I do a question and answer sticker because people, that's what people rely on us for. They want to interact with us and I owe it to them to be there every single day because I said I was. And just being consistent, there's a lot of people like in your position that want to start a retail shop and they want to start a brand. They have a lot of passion. They're good people. They really want to help. But that's not it has to be more than that. You have to show up every day. You have to be willing to get punched in the face every single day over and over again because there's always going to be some kind of issue, some kind of problem. And it's like, so there's a lot of passion in this industry, but there's not a lot of, consistency, and people are like, oh, well, I tried that and it didn't work.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you and everyone else, like that's that's what separates the people that are going to be successful is the ones going, okay, that didn't work. Instead of abandoning ship, what can we do differently? To make this work? Because there's been a lot of things that we did. It was like, well, that didn't work.
Exactly. Yeah.
That was a horrible decision. Like, what the hell were you thinking?
Yeah.
But then, you kind of get through it.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think we're seeing a lot of people that are, a lot of retailers that are kind of following suit in the way we're doing things. There's a hell of a lot of them popping up now, like smaller retailers, more personal, putting themselves out there. And it's working for the majority of them. A lot of them are doing quite well and, they're buying stock from us and they're doing it a similar way. But because everyone's slightly different, it can work for them as well. And it is kind of weird because there is some that do it. They think it's going to be as simple as that, but it's not. There is a lot of things that they're not thinking of, and it's kind of sad to see because I don't want them to waste the money. They'll come to me and say, Danny, I need a trade account to be able to buy from you and sell your stuff. I said, but yes, that's fine. But what are you going to do differently to what I'm doing, and what are you going to do better than what I'm doing? Because I'm not saying I'm the best, but tell me what you think you can do better. Because if you're not going to, you're just a copycat that is doing either worse or the same. So where does that
Right.
leave you? And I don't want you to waste your money doing that. But yeah, there's a whole heap of things that we could go on about. I mean, we're hitting 1 hour 5 minutes now.
Well, it's up to you, man. It's totally up because that's one thing too, where you see a lot of brands copy off each other, and that's a big thing in the industry.
Yeah.
Is like copying me. If you're starting your brand and you're looking at another brand, modeling everything you do after them, just know that that brand is now your ceiling. Like
Yeah.
you'll never go past them because you're putting them up on a pedestal. A lot of people, and I'll just use Ghost as an example. Ghost has done something in the industry that not many people have done. Brand loyalty, they do some really cool things. They people love being a part of. That's awesome.
Yeah.
But I see a lot of companies. They're like, well, I want to be like Ghost. It's like, well, as soon as you say that, now Ghost is your. Why would Ghost be your mountaintop?
Yeah.
You don't think you can do better? Like, as no disrespect to Ghost, but there's companies that make more money than Ghost. What's your goal? Like, that should be your floor.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to be there. Because if you're getting into this just to be another person, another cog on the wheel, or be like that brand, then you're already playing from behind.
Exactly.
They've already done it. They've crushed it by being who they are.
Mm-hmm.
So how are you going to copy someone else being themselves? Like,
exactly. Yeah.
it's like defeats the entire purpose. It's like it's a lot of work. I think people just think there's a hack, there's an algorithm that you can cheat your way to being a successful business owner, but there just isn't, man. And that's what we're just like, what's your strengths? What's your skills?
Yeah.
Hone in on that. How can I, like what you said, we had some people, there was a couple of people that they had tried to do something, or they said they were going to do something similar to what we had done as far, and people are like, Justin, what do you think? Like, so-and-so's like copying your idea. I'm like, good fucking luck. I'm like, good luck. Because you know how many years it took for us? I was like, if you can do it better than we're doing, I was like, knock yourself out. I was like,
yeah.
if you're trying to copy my idea, you're screwed. Like,
yeah.
And there's I'll say too, morphogen is a big topic of conversation. Ben makes insane formulas, right? Morphogen nutrition. Everybody in the UK wants it, right?
Yeah.
I had a conversation with him the one time, and I was joking around. I said, well, dude, I'll just rip off your formulas. I'll make my own line and rip off your formulas. And he goes, well, that's fine. He's like, you just won't make any money. And I was like, that's true. Because if you're just trying to copy off, he's like, what's your goal? But it's just kind of funny. Like, when people look around too much in this industry, and I feel like that's one thing that we do way too much in the supplement industry, is paying attention to what everyone else is doing.
Exactly.
You're giving up your competitive advantage because you're not being yourself, which ironically enough is the way you sort of separate yourself in this industry.
Exactly. And I think you've summed it up exactly. There's nothing else I can really say to it, but other than, you've done it. But like, why you should have an idea that's your idea. Yes, you can get kind of aspects of it from what other people are doing, but definitely I think paying attention to someone too much is just not right. Like, we had a few times where we were comparing ourselves to other companies, and we kind of sat back and both said, but at the end of the day, we want to make ourselves different than that. So why are we comparing ourselves to that? There's enough people in this industry and in the world that the supplements can branch to, that we don't have to try and fight for customers. Be yourself. If they come to you, they come to you. I'm not going to sit there and beg. But yeah, I think what the best thing we can do is, like, there's so much more. If you look at my phone, I have literally some notes here of what I wanted to say. I've done one. Yeah. I've done one. I've literally done one out of like 10.
Nice.
So I think what we'll do is we'll record it kind of. So I'll keep it. We'll finish this podcast off here. So for everyone that has watched the full thing, a big thank you to all you guys, and also a big thank you for Justin for coming on. And we'll definitely back to do a part 2 and probably up to 100.
Yeah.
So
I'm down, man. I love it.
Yeah. Right. Cool. So yeah, thank you guys, and we'll catch you in a bit.